Okay, welcome to our last Insight lecture of the day. Thank you all again for coming. Now, it's my great pleasure to be introducing Karen Wu to you. I only met Karen a couple of days ago and she's introduced as the Pocket Rocket. So I'm sure that she's going to be spewing out lots of information for us to absorb. And as I said earlier, all our talks will be on our website in a couple of weeks' time. So anything, if she is a bit quick, she's got a lot to pack in, then you feel free to review it at your leisure. Karen's got a lot of practical fashion experience. She hasn't been formally trained as a photographer, but you'll see by her work she's an extremely able photographer. And she's done a lot of work for Boohoo. We see them advertised a fair bit on TV. And she's done work during the Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, Virgin Australia Melbourne Fashion Festival, and her work has been featured on international publications such as Marie Claire Netherlands, Famous, BuzzFeed Manhattan New York, and Cosmopolitan Australia. So she's got lots of practical experience. She has got a few AIPP awards under her belt, and I think I can't say any more except to introduce Karen, who comes courtesy of Nikon. Nikon were kind enough to sponsor Karen to be here today. So welcome, Karen.
Hi, can anyone hear me? Thanks so much for having me, and today is really about me sharing to you about my journey as a photographer and all the inciting experience of this amazing Z7 camera, which I'm sure you would want to hear all about it. So let me begin by going through my life story. So, who am I? Oh, by the way, if I'm a bit croaky in my voice, it's because I've been a bit ill. So if you can't hear me clearly, please say, Karen, can you please speak up? But anyway, so who am I? Well, I'm married with Alan Wu. He's sitting in the front row, my #1 fan and #2 fan, Jaden Wu, right there. And I'm very lucky to have a 7-year-old boy who keeps me on my feet all the time and tells me how to edit. And I actually love cars and fashion, and I love a good Muay Thai bout. So I have trained about 8 years in Muay Thai. I'm actually a self-taught photographer. I know some of you guys will think, hey, is Karen trained in a school? Actually, I don't know, I found a knack for picking up a camera, playing with it, and just developing my eye for it. So I'm a self-taught photographer. I'm a boss lady since 2011, and I run a fashion blog, www.karen.com.au, and I also have an Instagram, which I'm not sure if you're following me on Instagram or know much about my work. If you do, can I have a show of hands? Thank you. So to find out more about me, I'm actually on Instagram. I'm quite active and I'm quite not, because I like to keep a bit of mysterious side of myself and don't want to be on social media too much. And I'm a Nikon and a Profoto global partner as well, which I'm very fortunate to be on board with these amazing families. So, okay. So this is a picture of my son, but it really depicts me in a way when I was growing up, thinking what did I want to be? I remember sitting in the back of a van and saying to my mum and dad, hey, Dad, I really want to be a graphic designer. I remember he turned around and said, what? I don't think Mum will be very happy with that. So I go, so I sat back in the chair and I go, all right, maybe I have to study, go through the motions of university and so forth. And that's what I did. I actually have a Bachelor of Science degree and a Master's of Business Systems until I realised that's probably not what I really wanted to do. But this is me. Currently, well, my journey actually as a photographer. So when I was growing up, with all the things that my dad had said to me and all that, but I'm really glad I took that in good hindsight, saying I needed that experience growing up. So it really led to me being in IT corporate for a good 8 years, And all this from the 2008 leading up to 2018 today, that's probably where I'm sitting at, running a creative agency, and I'm really prominent in street style, fashion, and social media. I'll walk you through that. So this is just an overview of my career in a graph. How did I start my photography career? I started as AK Wu. It sounded really Asian. I remember Jerry Jonas said to me, Karen, it sounds a bit Asian. I think you should change your name. So AK Wu was my beginning name of Alan and Karen Wu. And we both started as wedding photographers, then later rebranded to Finessence Photography. And we opened our first shop in Canterbury on Mailing Road. Does anyone know where Mailing Road is? Good on you, Adrian. So that's where I was based for a good 8 years, actually. So if you was to describe our wedding photography style, we love it to be lively, candid, and bright. Bright meaning like vivid colours. And that's just my studio life. Yes, I sometimes get fed. I'm not afraid to step on tables or getting a massage or being on my back or wrapping up, gifts. So I've done it all. I just loved just being out and about, being with my family, meaning this is my team. So I had a full-time receptionist, like a part-time receptionist, a full-time editor, and of course Alan as my second shooter, as well as my big boss as well. So this is an idea of my wedding work. We love to capture moments, and I chose this colour palette because it looks pretty, and so this is just a bit of an idea of my wedding work. So how did I first get involved with fashion? It all started when I walked into a vintage store on a Wednesday afternoon. I was just walking by, and then I remember saying, hey, what's this shop? It looks really beautiful. Can I go in? And we were just about to go to work. We were already late. But my friends go, okay, let's have a look. And I was attracted by this Chanel belt bag. And I remember about to purchase it. I was at the counter, was talking to the owner, and the owner actually asked about my surname. He goes, Wu, are you from a famous jeweller family? And I go, no, but I'm a photographer. I don't know why I said that. I just said I'm a photographer. And because I said that, he was really interested. And he said to me, hey, why don't you come back the next day and shoot this guy, Brian Boy? At the time, I was going, who's Brian Boy? But I was intrigued, doesn't matter. I love photography, why not? So I came back. So in that day, Brian Boy is one of the first pioneers of fashion blogging. So he was like a famous fashion blogger. If you know of him, he is still around the circuit. He's been on America's Next Top Model in the social media team. So that's how I got involved, and I remember shooting him, directing him, styling. Well, the guy, the owner, styled him, but I just loved that I was able to direct him, put him against cool backgrounds, and this is probably my first experience in creating fashion content, and I loved it. So then I was thinking I may not have that opportunity to pursue fashion yet because I had a studio to run. I still had a wedding and portrait studio to run, and I thought, if I wasn't able to do fashion yet, maybe I could turn everyday people into fashionistas. So what I did was I had projects where I had a guy who was a muso. He said, hey, Karen, can you create an album cover for me? Something really fashionable. I was like, oh, okay, sure. So I created a fashion portrait shoot for him. And this one is a glamour shoot where she wasn't well and she was dying from cancer, and she said she wanted something to remember her life by. So she asked me to actually create a beautiful glamour portrait for her and her family to remember. And it was actually a really special time. And remember, she was on morphine during the whole entire shoot. It was actually gut-wrenching, but it was a really special moment for me as well. And I did maternity, and I just tried to add that fashion edge to it by styling with fabric fabric and creating like different poses that you wouldn't normally see. I don't know, but I mean, you probably have, but I mean, that was back in the days when I played with fabric, and also my lovely friend who wanted something different to portray who she is as a photographer. So I just thought, okay, if the timing wasn't right, maybe I should do this. It's only until I remember I had a nudge from my really good friend, Jess Dempsey, and she is actually a fashion blogger, a luxe fashion mum. Luxe meaning luxury. She really loves to, she loves Chanel, basically. If you think luxury, is Chanel. And she would ask me to create weekly content for her, and we would have the opportunity to collaborate with many different brands like H&M, Christian Louboutin, Net-a-Porter, and we were like creating fashion editorials at the time, because in those days a lot of the bloggers were using the white wall and just creating content in front of it, like what they're wearing. But for us, we decided to do something more different by creating editorials like finding a nice home, and then we will create all the looks in it, and I will use lighting, and I'll just create a more substance than just having a natural photo shoot, natural light photo shoot. So it got really popular, and I remember she said to me, "Hey Karen, you're really good at what you do. Why don't you try street style?" And I go, "Street style? What's that?" And then when she kept explaining it to me and saying how it's good for me and the exposure, I was really intrigued, and I thought, you know what, I should really give it a go. So there, it led to me thinking, like, why street style? So actually, it's funny because back in 2009, I remember sitting in front of a computer, I was looking through the sartorialist. Do you know who the sartorialist is? Does anyone know? Well, basically, it's a blog about this guy who goes around New York and Paris and just stopping strangers and taking photos of them in their outfit. And I was so mesmerised. And I go, that looks so beautiful. How does he do it? Because I thought he would just take photos of strangers, but then slowly I realised, yeah, he must have stopped them. But anyway, the sartorialist is what was really inspired me to really pursue street style. But it's just only until like Jess Dempsey kind of connected the two together, I go, oh, that's street style. And also, I love networking and meeting people, so I have no problem with talking to all different kinds of people. So I thought that was really natural to me. And of course, if I love fashion and I love people, it makes it a lot easier. So why street style is because I also want to create lots of content for my social media platform and my fashion blog. So it led me to try street style on an international level. So this is like a list of places I've actually been. So the Virgin Australia Melbourne Fashion Festival, we call it VAMF, usually occurs around March, April in Melbourne. So if you have a chance, all consumers are welcome to join. And these are one of the events that I love shooting and catching up with everyone. I've been to London last year, New York twice, Paris for the very first time, which is this year, and Australia, like in Sydney. So I've done a few of those, done 5 of those festivals and Melbourne Fashion Week. So I'm their official fashion photographer for Melbourne Fashion Week, as in doing street style. So I recently shot for them a month ago. So it was really great just going backstage as well. So because I went to Fashion Week, what better time is it to actually road test this camera? Like when Nikon said, "Hey Karen, this is the Z7, go and play with it," I was like, oh my gosh, I was like frothing, going, this is going to be pretty amazing. And let me tell you, by looking through all my imagery, I can show you what I mean by what I love about the camera. So yeah, it's a full-frame mirrorless DSLR, and it's a 45.7 megapixel image sensor. And I had so much fun in Paris shooting with it and showing off with it, because a lot of people actually came up to me and said, have you got the new Z7? And I go, yes. And I was thinking, wasn't sure if they were going to take it off me or really intrigued, like to ask me about, but it was so much fun. So to give you a bit of context about what Fashion Week's like, we actually make it look glamorous and we actually make it look easy, but it's not easy. There's lots of people that I'm fighting with. We are always in a scrum. A scrum is meaning like, just say you're a group of people, but you're in a U shape. That's what a scrum is. So we're all, imagine all the cameras right next to you, all squished like sardines. That's what I'm fighting for a position most of the time. And let me show you if I press. That's the amount of people that I have to, you know, cut through. This is outside Gucci show. So the security is actually quite tight. I remember we were just over here and the security said, no, no one allowed in. And then I remember me and a few of our photographers would go, okay. And then as soon as the security walked, we just sneak kind of like around the back when he just stepped away. Like it's one of those things you just have to have like being alert, being a hustle. Like you got to hustle a lot. So we literally like ran through and then we go, yay, we got through. And another time I remember when I was at a show in Balenciaga and everyone was stuck right outside. And we saw a few of the photographers were inside the compound. It's like, how come they got to go in and we are stuck outside? But because everyone teases me because they say, oh, I do dress up sometimes. So I was wearing a Balenciaga armband and shoes on and everything. They said, oh, if anyone else can get in, I reckon Karen can get in. Then I said, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. So what I did was I walked in, bag on my shoulder. They said, look down. So I looked down on my phone and I literally walked past the security, just pretending on my phone, and I was gobsmacked going, oh my gosh, it really worked. And the security actually didn't even stop me. In fact, they said, bonjour, and I was like, what? And I was like, oh, this is great. But then I realized when I walked in, it was dead end already. So, but regardless, it's just so much adrenaline, so much fun. We're not trying to bypass and break the law, but it's just so much fun to you know, as a photographer, to try and get the shot. I think that's what's most rewarding for us, is trying to get the shot. So I will do anything to get the shot. That's why I mean, like, you'll find me on top of rubbish bins or you know, creeping somewhere else. That's why a silent function on a Z7 is perfect for those occasions, because they don't know I'm snapping. So anyway. And that's why when I was at the Gucci show, seriously, it was so crowded, but I remember everyone was running for somebody. I was going, who is this person? Doesn't matter, I'm going to run for it. So I ran for it, and literally with that zoom lens 7200 with the Z7, I was able to shoot Jared Leto. Do you know Jared Leto? I didn't even know who he was, to be honest. But doesn't matter. Everyone was going for it. All the crowd and fans were going, oh, Jared, Jared. I was like, who is Jared? Doesn't matter. So I shot him, and he's actually the villain in Blade Runner. He played a lot of, and Fight Club and all these other movies. So I shot this on the Z7, and I was actually really far. I'm telling you, I was going through crowds. So to get a shot like that was pretty amazing. And some of these other shots that I took by just bypassing all these people, like I remember I saw this girl, like she looked really cool, and I said, hey, do you want to go inside the shopping mall and take a shot? Because I really felt like, for me as a photographer, I always love to see what they wear. And then I would put them against some background that would look really cool. Because for me, for creating street style content, I like it to look different than everyone else. Sometimes, you know, like this is what I say, like you either create a lookbook shoot or create an editorial shoot. So for me, in my mind, I want to create an editorial shoot. So I take the time to look through all the details of everything to create the shot. And so this one was taken outside. I don't know, I've got the settings for you guys, so just so you know. And it was really funny. I remember I had a panic attack when I was using the Z7. I was like, oh no, the display didn't work, and I didn't know what I was shooting. Doesn't matter, I'm going to shoot and I'm going to go for it. And little did I know, I accidentally pressed the display on the side. I turned it off. But regardless, when I went home, all my shots were like super sharp. I was like going, oh, I didn't miss a shot. And so therefore, I think because I had the panic attack, I just literally put the mode on auto aperture. And since then, doing all these shots, I go, oh my gosh, I didn't change this setting ever, because I thought it made it a lot more easier for me to shoot. And I wanted to be in the moment. I didn't want to think about my settings. I'm actually a manual shooter. I never shoot on auto aperture. But for this instance, because I had a panic attack, I don't know why I decided to put it on, because I didn't know what I was shooting at the time. But after I figured it out, it was fine. So as you can tell from my context, how many people I have to go through. To get clean shots is quite difficult, but we try to make an effort to create clean shots. And when I do take the shot, I like to create different angles to give it a bit more content, a bit of different, perspective. So like maybe a back shot or a side detail, or even close in with the shoes. Use of light, as well as sometimes you see people maybe doing something. I just love the back detail of the hat, so I thought I would take that. For me as a photographer, I really feel like using light and shadows. For me, it creates that dimension. If you just use a plain, shoot a photo that is quite plain, it doesn't have that, the mood to it, then it to me it looks a bit boring. So for me to find light and good shadows to create something different is what I really go after. So this is for one instance. Like, I remember I saw this girl against this background, and I didn't even direct her. All the photographers were all around me, but because I found the light was really beautiful on her, and to see the separation on these, the lens and the using on the camera, like everything is like, this is so sharp, and you can see the background is not like highlight that bright or overexposed, so it just gave a really great light and exposure. So I don't know, I just really love that image because it just gave a bit of a dimension there. And here's some other images of just using a bit of light and shade. And like I said, when I used the auto aperture, I didn't really think as much, but I was able to really focus on what I'm seeing, the movement, the people, and just move around it and focus on being in the right position. And I really loved creating those photos. Yeah, does it all make sense? Cool. Once again, I just want to show you just context of light and shade, and that's probably where I like to set myself apart when I do street style photography. Just looking for all these elements to make, to make my photos pop, and maybe like create a signature style. Oh yeah, so this one, I want to show you. This is quite funny. Like I said, I'd do anything for a shot, so this is me. It's not about my shoes, but can you notice all these people are around me? And yeah, there are a lot of people, and you see the curtains there just moving and the models were just going past. That's actually a Tom Brown show. But because we were waiting for the show to finish, we were just, sat outside. But because the wind was blowing up the curtains, we thought, oh, the great opportunity to do something. So, once again, with the 2200 on the Z7, the detail, oh my gosh, the level of detail just from where I was sitting was I don't know, I was mind blown, because I just can't believe how I can shoot that far as well as capture that moment on that time to create such amazing images that you don't normally see. Yes, in the runway you probably get the position, but from where I am, getting that curtain to create that sort of border, that to me is pretty, I don't know, just something different. And just once again, the detail zoomed at 100%. That's photos I was able to take from far away. And this is zoomed in at 200 resolutions, just to show you that even at that quality of what this Z7 has given, it's like super high resolution and quality. So I just want to give you an idea of how amazing the detail is. Imagine you put that on a billboard, it still comes out like really super sharp. So besides just taking moments and waiting for the things to happen and unfold before me, I'm actually one of those people who like to direct my models as well. So sometimes when I see an outfit I really, really like and I chase them down the street, I will introduce myself to them and say, hey, I love your outfit. I like to stop them and then do like a quick 5-minute fashion shoot. So Nicole Warren, Gary Pepper girl, she's a very amazing, popular international fashion blogger. So just like I remember outside Valentino's show, I said to her, hey, can I have do a quick shoot with you? And she gave me her time. And same as these models, she just came out from the Balenciaga show. It was really funny because I wasn't able to take any street style shots of the Balenciaga show because the scooter was so tight. But I waited the I waited the extra 20 minutes for her or for models to come out and was able to, create extra content. As well as this girl, like she was waiting for her boyfriend who was shooting backstage at Tom Brown. And I said, hey, I really love your outfit. Can I do a photo shoot with her? And once again, I look for the background and I find where her outfit will look best against. Oh yeah, oh no, I hope it doesn't go warpy. Another thing that I did with the Z7 was create short films. So when I talked about models, one thing when I do like to direct them, I did a quick video with this chick that I met after a show as well. So once again, I said, hey, can I do a quick video of you? And I put it together. So this is what it turned out. I hope it... Sorry, it's a bit warped. So, sorry, it's not perspectives, all right, but I did this on the Z7. I Wi-Fi'd it onto my iPhone. I edited on Visco and in InShot application. I put it all together and I uploaded it on my Instagram straight away. And it took me probably a good, because I'm a perfectionist, maybe 20 minutes. And just put it all together and upload. And it just shows you how easy it is to remain relevant, quick and fast and just creative and thinking on the spot really quickly. And that's what I really enjoyed about one of the great features of using the Z7 is not only you get super sharp stills and images, but you get really quick and sharp film work. So I'll give you another idea. This is how I work if you want to see. Me barking orders, mainly. Well, this is just a little snippet of me. I met her in New York 2 years ago, and I remember I was so excited to see her again in Paris. And then I said, hey, can we do a quick shoot on the streets? I want something different. And obviously, sometimes when I'm talking behind the camera, it's quite hard. And I'm always like, quick, look to the left, look to the right. All right, turn around, don't get killed. All right, there's a car coming. I just do it really fast, and that's how I kind of work. But generally, they don't mind it because I always try to be quick. And so I guess I just took that moment where she was just laughing, having a time of her life, and she posted on Instagram, and that was really cool. So for me, what I enjoy about street style is having a really good rapport with everyone I meet. It's so important because you never know the next time when you meet them. You want that time where you want to take another photo of them and they remember you, and they'll always give you your time. So a lot of the people I shoot, I have a really good relationship with them. And yeah, we may remain friends or we remain connected on Instagram. So that's why, you know, it's always good to compliment them and never say, never point. I don't like it when people, like photographers, point the camera at a model and say, oh, you know, don't even ask, don't even say anything. It's really rude. So to have the etiquette is actually really important. To first of all, if you know their name, say their name, say what you want to do, tell them what you want them to do, and just be really short, sharp, and simple. And they really appreciate that. And so that's really cool, I hope. Oh, yeah. So, the perspectives are not that great. It's not the Z7, it's just me, okay. Another thing I tried was actually creating short GIFs on the Z7. And this is another street style photographer I really admire, and he's called Daryl Hunter from Road Hunter. And I was catching up with him and I said, hey, I really want to do a cool shoot for you. He goes, what do you mean? I go, because no one takes photos of photographers. We always take photos of other people, make them famous all the time, but never the street style photographers. So he goes, okay, sure. So I created something like this. So if you can see, I literally was just following him with the camera. Following him, I was like shooting him, and just like as if I was filming, but just shooting. But when I was shooting, it was pretty much like holding it continuously until I got all the frames. So even though on auto aperture, what I did was I was able to, sorry. Sorry. Even though I was able to set on auto aperture, like I was able to go to the mode and then say, select continuous shooting. I was able to hold on to the button and then follow him and just created that. And then when you see those other bits and pieces, it's just me editing. And once again, a Wi-Fi, edited an InShot, put it all together and uploaded it on my Instagram. And that's another simple way. If you don't want to do film, you can create GIFs. So it's a pretty cool function as well. And I tried the long exposures. And, you know, if you're a person who loves creating like landscape or architecture, you know, obviously you can do long exposures. And this one, I didn't have a tripod. I actually set it on top of my iPhone. So what I did was anyway, regardless, I tried the long exposure and it still worked. I love the effect. So yeah, it just works perfectly. If you actually zoom in with your fingers, it's actually quite sharp, but it doesn't look, yeah. So basically, Eiffel Tower, you know, is one of those things that you want to capture and see. So yeah, so what better way to end my holiday with the Eiffel Tower? And I still haven't been to the top of Eiffel Tower. But, you know, I'm sure, like, I like to admire things from afar, so that was just me. Yeah. So with all this fashion week and street style, well, what's in it for me and what have I done with it? And this is just a picture I created. Actually, it did win me an APA Silver for back in the day. And basically, this picture really describes me at the time where I was wondering, what should I do with my career? Like, yes, I do street style, I invested all my time in fashion and all the jazz. Like, what do I really want to do? I realised I really need to listen to my heart and follow my dreams. So, and when I did, I realised like all these brand collaborations started to come. Like I had all these opportunities to work on all different projects where, like, for example, with Bailey, I'm a social media influencer where I don't even know what that term really means, but from what I gather is like someone who really creates creative content. That's how I would see it. Influencer, well, basically, you know, these brands don't really need influencing in terms of sales, etc., but they love people who want to partner with and create creative content, and that's where that's how I see it, and that's where they will come. I don't know, that's how they have engaged me to do things like that. So, for example, another one is like Mina as a beauty product. They engaged me recently to do a beauty editorial, or with Dior, creating editorial content. So it's been really amazing journey for thinking back all this time that I invested my years into street style and going overseas. And I remember Alan was saying, oh, why are you spending all this time and money onto doing street style? But when I look back, the investment has really turned into value, and it has brought me so much more work and led me to quit my studio and portrait work. So now I'm a full-time freelancer photographer, just focus on fashion. And one of the other clients that I work closely with is Samsonite Australia. So I've, yes, you may see me. It's pretty embarrassing because I've had my clients, have other clients like Dior called me and goes, hey, did I see you at Samsonite ad? And I was like, yes. And but I think they like I said, influencer. They like me to show some creative side of me, liking their luggage bags. But anyway, so I've been creating their lookbooks, their campaigns, and this is the latest campaign. We went to Moorabbin Airport where I shot their latest Cosmo lights. So yeah, that's an example. And Sofitel is another client of mine where I've collaborated both Sofitel, Dior, Mercedes-Benz, and NGV. So this campaign was really about a girls' night out for last year, where they wanted to promote girls to come and have a great time at Sofitel. So my team and I just came up with this plan where we're going to have the girls in the hotel and have a Mercedes-Benz ride and going to the NGV. So that was what it's all about. And this was probably my first exposure with Dior, and it was quite interesting. But since then, I have a very long-standing relationship with Dior, and I still work with them too. So it's been really amazing. You're just putting yourself out there, and people see you're being authentic, you're being real, and keeping being creative, and people will continue, I don't know, they continue wanting to engage and work with me. So here's another example of a project I did with Voodoo Hosiery. Initially they wanted to do something spring racing. We thought we'd take it outside like the typical horse racing spring carnival. We took it out into a secret garden and came up with an idea, just focus on the socks and the stockings and just the styling. So that's what I love about fashion, is being able to express yourself through creating fashion content. So and here's another one where I like to explore. So if I'm not working on a project, I want to create more of a portfolio. I like to, call up a modelling agency and say, hey, I want to create an editorial, I want to put it for submission, and I have. So this is just another work that I recently did, and at the moment, the picture that you see on the booklet of her, that was on Vogue Italia, as well as this one as well. So it's pretty amazing. If you just try to, put time and effort into planning your editorial, getting to a good submission, magazine submission, it's really great for, your portfolio. I'm almost there. So, I don't know, it's I mentioned already, I'm very active in social media. You'll find me on social media. I'm always uploading new content all the time, and I love to create stories. If you, I know today I'm maybe a bit croaky and not as active, but you can see more behind the scenes of what I really am in my stories. But other than that, I think a lot of the brands love the idea of a creative person who is both a photographer and active on social media. So, and that which led me into doing some work with Bailey, just shooting in Sydney. I remember it was it was really dark. No sunset. Thank God for the Nikon camera with the flip. Nikon 810 had the inbuilt flash, and I was able to create content there and then really quickly. And I remember the PRs were saying, I like something that is more a bit of juxtaposition. And so it was just something that a way of expressing myself in a, I don't know, cool way, I hope. Because you would think Bailey is luxury and very prim and proper, but no, they really enjoyed something different. So I want to really end by saying, like, never doubt yourself. Like, sometimes you may have a thought in your mind and go, oh, I have this thing I want to do. I have a career that I want to pursue, or photography you want to do. Look, I never thought I was going to be a photographer. I thought I was going to be behind the desk for many years, you know, typing away, looking at data or building strategies of business processes. But seriously, I remember when Alan goes, you know, we've got to do this. You've got to believe in yourself and stick with the course. And that's what I did. And I just really believed if you value yourself and actually have an idea, just stick with it. You know, do it, explore it. And even if it doesn't work out, it's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes, because we're human at the end of the day. But with those mistakes, where can you do better? I think that's the key, is how can you do better? I have moments where I think I'm not good enough. I have moments where I think I'm a big failure, I made my mistakes, but then I realise I can't be like this. I owe it to my clients, I owe it to the people who really paid the money to work with me. But honestly, you know, I just think, like, if you just really believe in the product and the service that you provide and the passion that you have, you will succeed and you'll be amazing at what you do. And little did I know, 8 years later, I'll run into Brian Boy again. So that's Brian Boy for you, and that's it from me. Oh yeah, sorry. And so if you want to find out more about me, you can stay in touch on Instagram or stay tuned on Nikon Score as well for upcoming masterclasses. So yeah, here we go. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Karen. That was terrific. They say content is king, and you obviously put a new spin on different ways you can produce content.
Yep.
We haven't seen any commercial photographers today, so that's first. So thank you very much, very enlightening, and for putting your hands together.
Thanks, Peter.